Hey everyone. In this video, I want to talk to you about what I do to deal with stress from work. This is something that is really important to learn how to do because you don't want to let stress from work carry over to your home life and start affecting your relationships and your happiness. So, over the years, I've learned a few things that have kind of helped me deal with stress, and I hope they'll be able to help you as well. So, one of the first things that I do is I've basically learned to kind of disassociate from work environment because basically I'm a very caring person, so I get to a place where I want to make clients happy, I want to make my coworkers lives easier, and it makes me kind of care too much on the job, which opens the door for stress just destroying me. So I've learned to care less. I've learned to disassociate from the work environment and not allow it to get to me in that way. Basically, one thing that I've learned that's helped a lot is a pseudo form of apathy, but not pure apathy, because a lot of people use apathy to literally just not seem to care about anything, including suppressing and ignoring their emotions, which is really unhealthy. So I'm not advocating complete apathy because that's not a good thing for your future. You don't want to be suppressing or ignoring emotions. You want to allow yourself to feel them, you just don't want to act on them. So, what I advocate here is a kind of altered form of apathy where you just don't care about what happens on the job, don't care about the client who's constantly yelling at you to get their stuff in on a certain timeline, don't care about your coworker who may be frustrated, don't care about your boss or whatever it may be. Just try not to care as much. Now, that doesn't mean your performance should take a hit because you literally don't care to the point you won't even do your work. I'm not advocating that. Definitely do your job and do it well. Just try to get to a headspace where you don't care about what people think of you in that environment or what happens to you or just anything really. Because when you disassociate from things, it makes it a lot easier for you to handle any stress that comes from it because you often won't be thinking about it or caring about it enough for stress to develop. It's kind of like I don't want to call it a defense mechanism because that sounds like a bad thing, but it's kind of like just a way of shielding yourself or protecting yourself in that environment because stress is such a horrible thing. I mean, I don't I don't think we've quite hit the point where we realize just how much it affects our lives and our health. If you ask me, I think stress is probably one of the main causes of premature aging and people dying before they really should and that sort of thing because it takes its toll on our bodies physically, whether or not we realize it. So your goal should be to minimize stress as much as possible. And I would always advocate, first and foremost, your goal should be to remove yourself from a stressful environment. If it's incredibly stressful to the point where you're starting to lose sleep, your health is starting to decline, that sort of thing, I would say you should try to remove yourself, meaning quit the job. Because is it really worth it at that point? If your health is being affected that much, is that worth it? Do you put money before your health? I don't in my own life, but I understand that that is a bit of a unique way of thinking because most people will value money above everything else. And I just don't agree with that because if you ask me, you always have more time to make money, but you won't always have more time to deal with getting healthier when your job is messing you up in that to that degree. And it's going to boil over to your relationships as well and your overall happiness. So it's just not a good thing. So first and foremost, if you're dealing with an incredibly stressful job, I would definitely say you should start looking for a replacement job that won't be as stressful. And if you have to take a little bit of a reduction in pay, that's up to you to consider. I mean, I would factor that in definitely, but it's just one of those things. You can never quite regain lost time and any damage done to your health from incredible stress, but you can always make more money later on. So just factor that in to what you decide to do. But beyond that, learning how to disassociate from the environment helps a lot. Practicing that borderline apathy. So you want to allow yourself to feel your emotions at work So if you get frustrated, feel that frustration. You don't want to shove it down or suppress it, because that's only going to make it linger and kind of affect you more in the long run. And it'll make you resent whoever caused you to feel annoyed. So you may start hating your coworker and they're not even going to know. So you don't want to do that. But you don't want to act on your emotions either. So the goal here is healthy emotional regulation, which means letting those emotions rise up, because good luck stopping them, but then choosing not to act on them, because that's what you can control. You can't control emotions being felt. I mean, they just rise up naturally. We all know that. But you can control whether or not you act on them. So don't. Choose not to act on them. Choose not to yell at your coworker or get all bent out of shape over it. Choose to feel frustrated and not act on it. That means you can literally just be sitting there feeling upset, maybe even looking it on your face, but you're not going to say anything to anyone, and you're not going to blow up on the coworker who's making you feel that way. That way, once you allow yourself to feel the emotion, it'll get released eventually. And that is what you want, because so many people suppress their emotions on the job because they can't separate feeling and acting on them. So they can't realize, or they don't realize, that you can feel them and not act on them, and they have the habit of always acting on them, which gets them into trouble at work. So to counteract that, they just choose to not, or to try to shove their emotions down as much as possible. But that just creates problems, because then you'll go home and you'll be annoyed from work because you never allowed that annoyance to get released, and then you'll take it out on your loved ones, your relationship at home, or your, oh, if you're not in a relationship, your roommates, whoever is at your home life. Or if you happen to live in a single arrangement, then you'll just be feeling that emotion still when you go home. So you want to allow yourself to feel it so it can be released. You just don't want to act on it. So allow yourself to feel your emotions, but just feel or practice that not caring otherwise, not caring about things enough for them to even stoke any emotions within you. But if emotions do arise, you definitely want to allow yourself to feel them, because that's just the healthy thing to do. Just don't act on them. So I hope you can understand what I mean here, what I'm trying to get at, because it is kind of hard to explain. Because I'm not advocating full-blown apathy. That's not a healthy thing at all, because that involves ignoring emotions and trying to act like you just don't care about anything. I'm saying try not to care about these things that are huge stressors in your life, because then you're not going to give them all that power over you. You're not going to let them cause you to feel so stressed out all the time. And that's really what you want. So I hope somewhere in my rambling and horribly trying to explain this, you've gained something of value, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci!